excited to be here. And yes, the podcast is reaching its 1 million download mark, so I'm really excited about that. But first, we're talking about this big idea here, and I have to give you just a little background about me. This is where it all started. So when I was 6 years old, my mom walked me into a bank for the first time to open up a savings account. Now, she's not what you'd probably consider financially literate at that moment per se. She had just came to the United States, New York, from the beautiful island of Jamaica. So I want to get a show of hands. I was born in Jamaica. Who was born in Jamaica? Raise their hand. Who has visited Jamaica? Raise their hand. And who has heard of Jamaica? Okay, so everyone. So she immigrated here from Jamaica, and she was really young when she had me. She was only 20 years old, and she was a single mom. And so she didn't know much about investing, 401ks, IRAs, or any of that fancy stuff that you guys talk about. She did know about saving, and she wanted to give me a better future. And so with my little hand in hers, she did make an investment. She made the biggest investment she could that day. And if I do say so myself, it is the best investment she could, and it has yielded a priceless return. And I'm forever grateful for her to that. Now, B, who am I? I'm Jamila Souffrant. I'm a personal finance expert. I help people get out of debt, save, invest, build real wealth with the idea that they can reach financial freedom and independence. I also partner with companies who also want the same for their customers and who believe in this vision. I believe a lot of you guys are in this room. That's what you want for your customers too. So we're going to be talking about building trust and really being able to impact your customers' lives, right? So that day, my mom walked me into that bank. I don't know exactly how she was feeling, but I could imagine she was a little bit nervous. But I do know this, how she was treated that day by who was in the bank, who interacted with her, had everything to do with if she stayed or left. And it greatly impacted my financial destiny. And everybody in this room has that same power to not only impact your direct customer, but your customers' children and their future children, and so on and so on. But before we can do that, we have to build trust with them, right? And so we're going to talk about building trust in 3 ways: through Like Me customer service staffing, intentional messaging, and an authentic customer focus. But I did want to just take a moment to talk about why building trust is so important and why there's so much mistrust to begin with. And we have a lot of history in this country, and who you're trying to reach and connect with also has history in this country. And so for a lot of people, they were actually denied. A lot of the services that you sell today and market to today, some people were denied those same very services at some point in this country. And so things like redlining, which was actually legal at some point, where based on someone's skin color and where they lived and their income, they were denied insurance products, access to basic financial instruments. And even though that was made illegal in the 1970s, it did still continue in less overt ways. And in some ways, we see the effects of that now. And so for your customer, even if they haven't lived that experience, they have family members who may have, they know about the history. And so for them, the system is not a safe place. It's not something or someone they want to trust. And it's up to us as service providers, as industry leaders, to be able to help build that trust back up. So through Like Me customer service staffing is one of the ways we do that. Now, when your customer or your potential customer walks in a bank or walks into whatever institution or makes a phone call, they want to feel seen and heard, right? And so Like Me customer service staffing isn't just like based on the color of someone's skin or what they look like. It's a big part of it. You want to see yourself. Your customers want to see themselves in the people helping them. But it also has to do with diversity of thought and experiences. So I don't know exactly what the person looked like that helped my mom that day, but how they treated my mom had everything to do with if she felt comfortable enough to stay or go or to actually open up that account. So you really want to think about how you also encourage your customers to feel seen and heard. And not only extend that grace to your customers, but to employees, right? So your employees also should be encouraged to be them true selves and to show up. Because if they're able to do that, then they can interact with each other, the customer and the customer service provider, in a way that's authentic and pure. And that's where the trust starts building up. Next, intentional messaging. So I know just now I talked about having diversity on the front line. And that's not just because it looks good right? I'm not talking about just checking off a box and saying, oh yeah, we have diversity and it's on the front line, but this actually needs to be diversity in all areas of the company. Where the marketing messages are being created in the boardrooms, there needs to be diversity. So who you're serving, the companies, the people, the communities, the people that make the decisions also need to at least, one, understand and look like them too. Now, that diversity of thought goes a long way because as you're creating messaging that you want to connect with your customer, potential customer, you want it to resonate. And it's not going to resonate if you have people in the room who have no idea what your customers' experiences are like. And so whether it's partnering with people who are on the ground, who are actually really understanding what it is that your customer needs, or actually really hiring, right, for those positions where it's from the top down that the decisions are made, that's really important. Also, intentional messaging also relates to how you speak to your customer. Now, I know that there is a lot of jargon that we all kind of say and pass around because it's normal to us, right? We understand it. But imagine how your average customer feels when they get any type of email or letter explaining a product or something, right? A lot of them really are just not understanding what you're saying. And I know a lot of it's going to be red tape and getting things approved, if you're especially in a bigger organization. But it's really important because the moment your customer is thinking you're trying to trick them or bury a message in an email is the moment, again, the mistrust is just, it's there. The trust is broken again. So you really have to mean what you say and be intentional about how you're saying it to your customer. Next, authentic customer focus. So I'm talking about focusing on your customer not only when it's time to make a sale. Are you showing up in other areas of their lives? Are you invested in their communities? Are you supporting what they care about, right? Not just when it's going to affect the bottom line, but when you know it's going to really impact their holistic journey. So it's really important that you see your customer and not just for the number, the value number that they could provide. One of the ways you do that is through surveying your customer. And if you're lucky to get someone to actually answer one of your surveys, it's really important to look at that data, but just not see it as data. Right? Actually implement whatever it is that you're learning, not just file it away as a check mark of we did it, we did a survey, but to really dig deep and understand what the survey is telling you. Also, with authentic customer focus, it's important to know that every customer has potential, right? And so every person is someone's mom, someone's dad, someone's daughter, and think about how you'd want your family member to be treated when they walk into a bank or make a phone call. It's the same thing. It's that same level of care that potential customers and clients they see. They pick up on it, even if they don't know how to name it. And so you want to make sure that you're approaching them with that same kind of care. Now, in my company and what I do, I see myself as a tour guide, right? I see myself as simply giving a lot of options, but quality options. And so, for example, I have a wide range of guests that come onto the podcast. I've had a dumpster diver, which, by the way, his story was not as extreme as you think. He had a lot of good tips about saving money. And also I had a Rolex connoisseur, right? And so I love giving just this wide range of experiences because every person is different. What they connect to is going to be different. And I would imagine all your customers are the same. Regardless if you kind of have them in one bucket, they have different interests and likes. And so you want to be able to present them with the best options and have them choose what's best for them, right? You're not forcing anyone to make a decision, but you're leading them and doing what's right for them. Now, we just talked about ways to build trust. 3 ways: like me customer service staffing, intentional messaging, and an authentic customer focus. But ultimately, it boils down to this. You're here because you care about the financial health of who you're serving. But it's really important that you focus on the trust factor, right? And it's so hard for companies to build trust with people nowadays. And it's really important that you look at each customer as someone who has wild potential. Again, I look back at what my mom did for me that day when she walked into the bank. She changed my financial destiny. She changed my life. And now I'm doing the same for my 3 small kids. I'm passing that baton on to them. And I'm really proud and happy to be able to say that. And so you, in this room, have that potential, have the ability to become a partner on your customer's financial journey and build legacies. Thank you.